Hey, I'm David, editor of Imaging Resource, and it has been a crazy few months for video in the camera world. The first camera out of the gate was Nikon Z5 II, which is a really unassuming video powerhouse. Then Panasonic dropped the S1 II, which I'm using in this video right now, and then finally Sony introduced the FX2. I'm also going to talk about the Sony A7C II, which isn't a new camera, but we just finished testing it as a studio camera, and it's most closely related to the FX2 in features, and is a good option for people who want a classic camera style instead of a cinema style body. All of these cameras aim to deliver pro-level video performance, but they all do them in kind of different ways. Each one comes with its own strengths and its own trade-offs. Okay, let's start with the resolution and recording formats. All four of the cameras shoot at least 4K video, but their differences are in how they handle the resolution, the frame rates, and the sensor readout. Let's start with the Panasonic S1 II, which is the camera again that I'm using here to record this video. It supports 6K open gate recording from the full width of the sensor, meaning none of the data is thrown away. It also does full frame 4K 60 and internal ProRes. Shooting in 6K makes it really flexible for reframing and cropping in post. So what I mean by that is if you go out and you shoot in 6K and then you come back and you want to crop to that, you can still crop to 4K resolution without losing any detail. The newest is the Sony FX2, and that shoots at 4K 60, but it gives you a Super 35 crop at that frame rate. So at 4K 30 and below, it uses the full frame. It does not support internal RAW or resolutions above 4K, but the image quality is excellent because it has 10-bit 422 recording. The Sony A7C II also supports 4K 60, but with a 1.5 times crop. At 4K 24 and 4K 30, it gives you full frame readout. That's one of the reasons we're looking at the A7C II as a studio camera. We would take the FX2 outside to do higher frame rate shooting and still have all that resolution off of it. The Nikon Z5 II offers full frame 4K 30, but it also does a crop to the APS-C for 4K 60. But here's the trade-off. It does support internal and RAW, which is Nikon's RAW format, and ProRes RAW, giving it a post-production edge if you can work around the crop. Alright, let's jump on over to autofocus. Sony still leads the pack in autofocus. The end. The FX2 and the A7C both use Sony's latest AI-based subject tracking, and it is fast and accurate and adaptable, especially with people, animals, vehicles, all kinds of different subjects. Panasonic's S1 II now includes phase detect autofocus, and it is a huge leap forward compared to their earlier contrast-only systems. It's a much more reliable system, especially for static setups like this, but again, it's a big upgrade. Nikon Z5 II autofocus is so much better than the Nikon Z5, and it's just behind Sony at this point when it comes to video autofocus. In fact, if you're on the fence between a Z5 and a Z5 II or a Z6 II and a Z6 III, you really should not even consider those older cameras. The new ones are so much better. Now let's turn to the body design and how those work with video. The FX2 is a cinema-style body, which means it has a flat profile, but it makes it really easy to add cages and other things that you can connect microphones and lights and all other kinds of accessories to. Two of the cameras have internal fans, the Sony FX2 and the Panasonic S1 II. That allows them to record unlimited 4K 60 without overheating. That is really important if you're doing shots in outside locations or live streaming or doing really long takes of video. So since the A7C II and the Z5 II do not have active cooling, it means you might have to record shorter clips, especially if you're working in really hot conditions. That said, stick them in the studio, you should be able to record all day, every day with absolutely no problems. Also, it's been years since I've seen a camera have thermal problems when it's hot outside. The only time you really see them is if you're putting the camera out in direct sunlight, and then you're kind of melting the camera, not overheating the camera. Both of Sony cameras and the S1 II have compatibility with their own XLR adapters, and they use their digital hot shoes in order to transmit the audio. There's no need for cables with that. Nikon does not have their own XLR adapter, but you can use a third-party one, but then you need to take a cable and connect a mic cable to the XLR adapter, which gets rid of a lot of the purpose of using XLR in the first place. That might make the camera better for use out in the field, where you're going to use a microphone anyhow and not an XLR-connected studio mic. The A7C II with its small body is definitely designed as a stills first hybrid body. It's lightweight and compact. It's the kind of thing you would like to take on vacation with you, and I have, but it uses HDMI mini, which is more prone to break, and it doesn't have some of the video features that the other ones have. The Z5 II is somewhere between a full-on cinema camera and a stills camera. It's a great hybrid, and I really think it's a nice balance for those people who want a camera that mostly takes videos, but it works great when you put them together. You got your still shooting in my video, I got my video in your still shooting. Two great formats that taste great together. Okay, Okay, so now for storage. The Sony FX2 uses both the CF Express Type A card and an SD cards capable of UHS 2. Each of those dual slots can take either a CFE Type A card or an SD card. That means you get two slots in which you can put the same type of cards or different types of cards. Now, the S1 II offers CF Express Type B and SD slots inside, and you also get the benefit of being able to record ProRes directly to an external SSD over USB-C, and that's great for really long files. The Z5 II also uses Type B and SD, and it supports the internal RAW formats to both of those. But with the Nikon Z5 II and the Panasonic S1 II, each slot only accepts one of the type of cards. So that means you can put in a Type B card and an SD card, whereas with the Sony FX2, you could put a CFE Type A or an SD into both slots. Sony's solution is more flexible, but it's the only camera brand using that CFE Type A card, which means it might not be future-proof for you, but if you're going to go out and buy a brand new camera and a new card, it doesn't really matter if it's CFE Type A or Type B. When it comes to recording formats and codecs, the Panasonic S1 II is the king of the hill here. It offers internal recording in ProRes 422 HQ, all intra and long GOP formats with support for 10-bit 422 and external RAW over HDMI. The Nikon Z5 II also punches well above its weight with internal NRAW and ProRes RAW support, which is really surprising at this price point. The Sony FX2 records only in XAVC and H.265 internally with no internal RAW option. You could add an HDMI recorder, but then you're getting like a bulkier, heavier system, which is a really weird trade-off when you're going for the smallest cinema-style camera you can get. Okay, let's take a look at pricing, which is where things start to get really interesting. The Sony FX2 comes in at about $2,900, and it's worth it if you need long-form reliability, cinema-style controls, and Sony's unbeatable autofocus. Meanwhile, the Panasonic S1 II is closer to $3,200, but for that, of course, you're getting internal ProRes, 6K open-gate, full-frame 4K 60, and RAW formats. If you need the most post-production power and flexibility, that's the most capable one. The Sony A7C II is about $2,200, which is great for hybrid users. It gives you a really great still camera, 4K 60 even though it's cropped, and Sony's autofocus in a very portable package. But it's not really built to be a video workhorse, it's designed more to be a still camera that can also do video. The Nikon Z5 II is the surprising one here. It's priced at about $1,900. So this is really the best entry-level price into full-frame video that you can get, especially because it has that internal RAW and really good codec. If you need to work around the crop at 4K 60, it might not be the best one for you, but honestly at that price point, I think that crop is really a good trade-off to still have good 4K 60. All right, so what's the right choice? They are all really good choices, and you cannot go wrong with any of those cameras. If you need the most flexibility in post-production, the Panasonic S1 II is really hard to beat. If your priority is reliable autofocus and long recording times and a compact cinema-style body, you go with the FX2. For the hybrid content creation on the go, the A7C II is a really good camera, and if you're working on a tighter budget but you still want like all of the video capabilities you could probably ever need, including internal RAW and full-frame shooting, the Z5 II really might surprise you. Did we forget any important specs in this video? Let me know in the comments below if we did. Also, if you're considering one of these cameras, I'd love to hear why you're considering it and the things that you think are the strongest and the weakest parts of that system. Don't forget to subscribe for more camera comparisons from Imaging Resource, and we'll have a link to our website, imaging-resource.com, in the description below. Until next time, I'm David Schloss. Go out there and give it your best shot.